At URL odina.
Just share no. So here open. The one.
Jaka kusindikira Maxime.
Maxime.
Copies. Close it.
Just a bit. Sharing a link.
Sound no. Actually, YouTube when again singa na Zoom, kuja ko you can't interact.
Live streaming.
Wanga tena feedback.
Ebikebo byange sibebe ajja omusawa zikabaka kutte ali bamira kati wali prestige nakakateka kuwawo
abantu bandikanye request za link
wenga nkuweereze ku namba
kwe namba yange 0702 agenda ki link anti waliwo abantu abalinze ku Twitter ne WhatsApp 0702 89
atoli bagenda kuwulira Just bagenda lawo okulabirira bakuya abasindika mkono abandi bagakozesa okujugira kino bagamba yakola yakola
Check 1 2 microphone. Check 1 2.
One, two.
1 2 1 2. We welcome one of our presidential candidates, Mr. Isaac Ssewankambo. You're welcome. Kenneth is also here. Thank you very much. You're all welcome to this occasion. We have some members out. Okay, we want to think. We welcome you to the
Yaje sound try clear. Because ya bata
Campaign managers for Isaac can take this front seat. We can have two. The rest of us, let's squeeze in, provide space for each one. Okay, any other ULS candidates? Any other candidate from ULS? Standing for any other position, we would like to have you on the front seat as well. And please identify yourself to us. I will be assisted by Madame Auma. You make sure you identify yourself if you are a ULS candidate who is also here for this debate. But 2 campaign managers for Mr. Kipalo and 2 campaign managers for Mr. Isaac Ssewankambo can take the seats here. Okay. Okay, without further delay, we would like to start. We welcome you all to this very, very exciting debate of our presidential candidates, Mr. Kenneth Kipalu and Mr. Isaac Ssewankambo. A round of applause to the 2 of them. Thank you very much. We'd also want to thank each and every one of you who has made it here today. We recognize your valuable time, but this is also very important because it contributes to the rule of law in this country and the rights of citizens being lived and in a special way. And this is the breeding ground for lawyers and the idea of the rule of law in this country. So we must take part in such activities. The program for the day, please let us remember the theme for this debate. The theme for the debate is Law, Justice and Freedom in Uganda, a place of the Ugandan Law Society. Organized by URIPEC, but all under the School of Law, Makerere University. The program of the day will go this way. You probably have copies, but this is what we have. The presidential candidates will toss to a coin in order to select who will be the first and the second presidential candidate to speak. So the crane, if it lands on the crane, then it's Mr. Chipali, right? To start. And then if it lands on the emblem, then it will be Mr. Ssewankambo, right? Okay, I would like to request for a 500 shilling coin. Anyone with a coin, please. Please, and if it can be tossed by a lady, an advocate, female in a stiletto, it would be a good idea. Can I have a volunteer advocate? Yeah? Thank you. So it's agreed. The crane is Mr. Kipalu and the emblem will be Mr. Ssewankambo, who will go first in terms of speech. Our coin is here, and our proud stiletto lady will come and toss the coin. After the coin tossing, we shall have opening remarks from URIPEC Director, Dr. Businje Kabumba. We shall then have opening remarks from the candidates who will take 10 minutes each, providing their opening remarks. We shall then have URIPEC questions to be answered by the candidates. And then after answering the URIPEC questions, after 10 minutes each, we shall then have each candidate asking the other a question, and each candidate will take 10 minutes answering the question answered by the other candidate. Then we shall open up to the House. The audience will have 25 minutes each for each candidate to answer the questions rising from the House and any from the online platform. And then we shall have our closing remarks. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to give his closing remarks, and then the director, URIPEC, will follow. So ladies and gentlemen, you're here for a noble cause. As members of the Uganda legal fraternity, we must listen. And should the 28th day come of September, we must vote wisely. So I'm requesting my young lady, what's your name? Cynthia. So Cynthia, Can you please just come right here? The coin is here. Okay. Just throw it up and when it lands, whichever place it takes. Okay. What up? Okay, we have the emblem up. That's Mr. Ssewankambo will go first, and then Mr. Kipalu will follow. So right now, yes, without further ado, I would like to invite the director, Hiripek, to come and give his opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start by welcoming all of you to today's debate and to thank, in the first place, those candidates who have had the courage to come to debate. I think once one offers themselves for a position as serious as that of the Uganda Law Society presidency, the least one can do is to not shirk robust dialogue and debate wherever it happens. So to the extent that we have two candidates here, personally and on behalf of Hiripek, I'd like to thank them for having shown the fortitude of making it today. Mr. Kenneth Kipalu, thank you, sir. Mr. Isaac Ssewankambo, thank you, sir. For me, they have both shown a respect for us as Ugandans and a respect also for the place of the Uganda Law Society where law, justice, and freedom in Uganda is concerned. The Human Rights and Peace Center, as many of you are aware, is a more than 30-year-old institution now, the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa, insofar as it combines three things: teaching, research, and advocacy. It's both a university department, it's both an academic department here at the School of Law, but it's also, and this is what makes it unique and first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa, it's also an activist, institution. It's also an activist institution designed to engage with the public and with questions of public importance. So the discussion and debate today is clearly within the mandate of the Human Rights and Peace Center. It's why we were founded, and it's not something we shall ever run away from. I'm both a teacher here, but also a member of the Uganda Law Society, and an advocate also. But I'd like to also take off some time to welcome colleagues of mine from Makerere, School of Law. Dr. Patricia Tim, first of all, thank you very much for accepting to moderate. Everything about today's debate has been agreed by the candidates, from the moderator to the way in which the coin toss that you saw. Remind me to get back your coin somewhere. Yeah, you know you are. I'll get it after this. To the way in which the choice of first speaker was chosen, to the time allocations, to the rules, the modalities. Nothing here was decided by Hiripek apart from the topic. Everything else was determined by consensus, and that is the spirit and will remain the spirit of the debate today. Also to thank colleagues from the School of Law who have made it today and from the university that have attended. Professor Christopher Mazira, thank you very much, sir. Principal Emeritus of the School of Law. Dr. Diana Umza. Dr. Robert Kakuru, who also happens to be the chairperson of the Makerere University Academic Staff Association. very specific. Now, it's not intended for me to speak so much. You've come to attend a debate and not a public lecture by some random fellow. But I feel compelled just to say one or two things. I feel compelled to just make one or 2 points. But number one, the idea behind this debate is to demystify law and also to demystify the Uganda Law Society. It's consistent with some of the work that the Human Rights and Peace Center is doing to challenge injustice wherever it rears its head, whether that is in Parliament, in the executive, or more recently, the judiciary. But that cannot happen if we don't face up to our role and our ownership of law and legal institutions. For as long as we are outside looking in, fearing, cowering, not feeling that the law society or even that the law is ours, we do ourselves, we do the law, we do Uganda a disservice. So this debate, this discussion here at the School of Law at PUP is a means of reclaiming not just the law in Uganda, but also the Uganda Law Society in terms of really what it's supposed to serve, the needs and interests of Ugandans. So for me, to that extent, the fact that we're having this debate here today is success, not for any one institution or individual, but success to the very idea of the place of Uganda Law Society in Uganda today. Dr. Patricia Tim, I'll leave it at that, but maybe just also to say that I'm personally privileged to have a very good friend of mine in this audience. I'll just mention his name, Rishi Lomas. I'll not mention his affiliation, but just as my own boy, Rishi, thank you from Liberia. Thank you for making the journey to Uganda to attend this debate. The struggles for freedom and justice are the same across Africa, and maybe I'll return the visit at some point to Liberia in the same spirit. Dr. Patricia Tim, over to you.
Okay, School of Law, eh? Yes, good. Now, just to remind you, also the objectives of the Uganda Law Society, as stipulated in the Uganda Law Society Act, include, among others, to maintain and improve the standards of conduct and learning of the legal profession in Uganda, to facilitate the acquisition of legal knowledge by members of the legal profession and others, to represent, protect, and assist members of the legal profession in Uganda as regards conditions of practice and otherwise, to protect and assist the public in Uganda in all matters touching auxiliary and incidental to the law, to assist the government and other courts in all matters affecting legislation and the administration and practice of law in Uganda. Members, those are some of the objectives of the Uganda Law Society. And as we sit here today, we are sitting here to choose or to get wisdom from these two gentlemen and to determine in a more informative way which of the two will drive this playing of the Uganda Law Society to meet the objectives as stipulated in the law. From this moment on, allow me now to invite our first contestant, Mr. Ivan Ssemakade, to come and give us. Isaac, sorry, pardon me. Back on track. Okay, let's be back on track. Mr. Isaac, okay, we are back on track. Okay, you get back on track too. Mr. Isaac Ssemakade. Can you please, okay, order. Mr. Isaac Ssemakade, the floor is yours for the next 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Back on track. Back the table. Back on track. Back the table. a decorum Z, a humility Z, a gratitude Z. Back on track. Thank you very much, colleagues, for inviting me to this auspicious occasion. Dr. Sinje Kabumba, I wish I was saying my Lord Justice Sinje Kabumba. Dr. Patricia Tim Odom, I wish I was saying my Lord Justice Patricia Tim Odom. It gives me great pleasure to return to my alma mater and to participate in a Huripek event because Huripek made me when I was president of the Makerere Society. A long time ago, Dr. Professor Joe Lokonyango was director at the time, and he invited me to Huripek planning, and we set the tone for student activities for about 6 years. And Huripek has not disappointed since then. There are so many people in the audience that it would be unfair for me to start without introducing them, so I'll use much of my time to really introduce them. And I beg that some stand, some will come and join me. First and foremost, Dr. Mwebaze, stand and give away word. Please give away word to the community. Dr. Chris Basila returned from South Africa and picked me from legal practice and said, we want to bring legal activism in the classroom. We are starting PILAC, the Public Interest Law Clinic, and we are starting NetPIL, a bridge between students and practitioners. And I was his first director, chairperson for civil and political rights. And I insisted that I will not stop until the PILAC Center in Makerere is known for suing policemen and military men. Actions against the police and actions against the military. That is something that will give me great pride. And I saw Dr. Kabumba following the footsteps of Dr. Naluwayo writing about the militarizing issues. So I know the knowledge is already there. My dear sister, Diana, Dr. Diana Ahumza, stand and give me a word. Diana and I were extremely competitive in law school, so I yielded space for her. Yeah, in academy, and she hasn't disappointed. My long-time client, Mwasa chairperson, Dr. Robert Kakuru. Thank you for coming. Dr. Kakuru. I worked with Dr. Kakuru in leading industrial action in January 2019. And he has come with a letter of appreciation, which I'll probably make public later. But I will read the last paragraph. We have read from the news that you are vying for the presidency of the Uganda Law Society. We encourage you to remain firm and strong in the fight for justice for the oppressed, especially employees we build for the future. This is very painful for me. Thank you very much. My parents are in the hall, and I would like my mom to come and share the space with me. And my dad also, Mr. Chamson. I also have Mama Yasi, but I don't see her. Why are women at the back, Yasi? What did I teach you? the Constitution has put women at the forefront. Mama Yasin and Yasin, they did a case against UCU. Not many parents allow us to do our work. Yasin was a bursary student, and Ssewankambo was also a bursary student at UCU. And it was difficult to risk them through the process of justice. So much about what you see. So much about what you see in the judgments erases the contribution of people like Makerere, because they allow us to give, agency, autonomy of clients in very risky situations to show faith and fidelity to constitutionalism and the rule of law. So I'm going to ask her to say something about how she understands the role of lawyers in the contemporary Uganda, about me. And I think she will use Uganda. How many minutes am I left? 2 minutes. Colleagues, most of you, I realize you have followed our debate. My candidacy rests on a four-legged stool: decolonization, demilitarization, democratization, and digital transformation. It will be judged not by you. It will be judged by those who will be in these very pews in the year 2060, 40 years from now. We made that very clear. We are asking our colleagues at the bar to give us a mandate for a radical new bar, which will set the tone for how we view the role of law, lawyers, legal institutions, legal culture in a post-colonial Africa. Should we simply uphold and apply received law from England? Should we adjust it according to the demands of global Western order? Or should we use the law to find every way possible, every means possible, to ensure that every African in need of justice can access it promptly? This is the apex of achievement of African Legal Academy, and that's what it says here. to become Africa's premier law school that promotes social justice, rule of law, and development. My time is up. We shall talk more about that, but you know the horizon. You have seen the shining castle at the hill. I will lead you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Candidate Isaac Ssewankambo, for even keeping time. School of Law, Puripek, good. Now we invite our next candidate, Mr. Kenneth to give us his opening remarks in 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tim. I am very happy to be back to Makerere University School. In line with our tradition in Makerere Oil. Dr. Tim Patricia, thank you. I recognize the presence of Dr. Ssewankambo, Professor Chris Mbazira, Dr. Diana Ahuliza, and all the other members of the faculty that are here with us. I also thank my brother, Councillor Ssewankambo, for the work he has done in the human rights space. I also thank him for bringing his parents here this afternoon. Welcome. I must admit that's touching. Ladies and gentlemen, coming here today has been done at a great risk for our own candidates. Matter of fact, there's a complaint that has already been lodged by our colleague who is in this race. That we should not have come here to debate. I am of a different view. I think it is important for us to engage the public. And you cannot be president of the Uganda Law Society if you cannot engage. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Ssewankambo and Professor Tambale for standing as sureties for the anti-corruption activists. In my view, the least Uganda Law Society could have done is issue a statement of gratitude. I salute you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in perilous times. That was Chief Justice Mwebaze during the times of Idi Amin. And I would say the same even today. The theme for this debate is law, justice, and freedom. And you need to pause and ask yourself the question, do we have law in Uganda? And as you think about that question, you need to also analyze that law has an inner morality. And it's that inner morality that we have fidelity as lawyers. That is why, in spite of the hovering sanction of our participation in this engagement, we decided to come and engage nevertheless. Justice. Do we have justice in this country? Or is our justice system dictated by those in power? Do we have freedom? And what is the true measure of freedom? The true measure of freedom is that you can openly express your views that may be anti-government and not be sanctioned for the same. That is the true measure of freedom. You know that you wake up and practice. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe law, justice, and freedom in this country is as the state will permit you to. Forget what we studied here in Makerere. I'm sorry, I wish I'd gone so much into that. But as law society, we have a duty to keep singing that old song, that law, justice, and freedom must thrive. When Justice Ssewankambo was a student in Makerere here, there were protests against Idi Amin. He walked around the universities here and he was shouting, nobody is above the law. Not even Amin is above the law. As a result, he was hunted down and he had to run away from the university. He ended up in Uganda. And I think he had to forego that semester. That is the song we must continue singing as civil society. No one is above the law. The president is not above the law. The attorney general is not above the law. The police is not above the law. None of the institutions of government are above the law. Even the judges are not above the law. They uphold the law. And that is my agenda for Uganda Law Society. We must recognize our role as lawyers. You remember the events that sparked off the 1966 crisis. If you've read From Obote to Obote by Kenneth, he says that before Obote overthrew the 1962 constitution, he inquired of his friend, Godfrey Binaisi, and he said, how can I overthrow this constitution? It is my baby. You remember what Binaisi said to me? The constitution is as dead as a doornail. What you're doing is giving it a decent value. It is the reason why people like Professor Oloko Nyango have since tried to write about the ghost of ex parte Matoke. And up to now, we have not yet exercised. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe Uganda Law Society has a critical role to play in upholding law, justice, and freedom in Uganda. We must not silence our voices. You saw what the Law Society did in Pakistan when they tried to suspend the Chief Justice. The Law Society took to the streets. You're not too smart for the streets. I believe that. Your suit, you cannot rise above the level of your community. We are all at the same level, working in the same economy. So the systems must work for us, the economy must work for all of us. And as Uganda Law Society, we must be at the forefront as watchdogs for law, justice, and freedom. That is my agenda, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll be unpacking it as time goes by. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much, candidate Kenneth, Mr. Kenneth Chipalu. You actually been saved us some 2 minutes. Okay, now we are rolling on. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are biblical, the book of Mark tells us, if your eyes cause you to sin, pluck it up. If your ears cause you to sin, yes, you're here, you have heard the opening remarks from our two candidates, and you should employ your wisdom and the spirit of discernment to help you choose which of the two will lead our way, which of the two will help the Uganda Law Society be the real watchdogs of the rule of law in this country. As we go on with our program, we now move on to section 3, where we have questions we are posing to the candidates as Curipec. Curipec, oye? Yes, the candidates will answer 2 questions in 10 minutes. Question 1 to these candidates, remember, is what do you perceive to be the most pressing rule of law issue in Uganda today? And if elected president of the Uganda Law Society, what would you do to address this? That is the first question. The second question is which past president of the Ugandan Law Society you mostly admire and why? So, Council Isaac Ssewankambo, can you please take the floor?
Thank you very much. Patricia, I can call you that, right? We are in some trenches. Yeah, time to finish. 10 minutes. I will take less. I hope so. Let me start with the second question about my predecessor to be. It is Dr. Solomon Bosa. Dr. Justice Solomon Bosa, who was president of the Law Society around 1993. And I think the first people at it. The legal aid scheme of Uganda Law Society, which is the beating heart of our, law society, is happy. She negotiated the Canadian Bar Association grant, which I think was the inaugural grant before the Norwegian Bar Association grant came in. And the rest of the presidents just, saw these wonderful developments that we've taken for granted. Lately, however, branches are being closed. And nobody is writing to how to do some money. Also, it's worth pointing out that when a woman was the president of Uganda Law Society, Justice Bosa wasn't defended. Not our greatest need. We read from the Observer that when a position opened up in one of the international courts of justice, please guide me, Dr. Kabumba, is it ICC or ICJ? ICC. When a position opened up in Uganda to present a jurist of impeccable credentials, the Judicial Service Commission wrote a very restrictive requirement that you must be present to present your credentials, present. Digital transformation. Madam Justice Bosa was out of the country, and this was intended purposely to lock her out. She sent an email, copied to the bar. Please, can you extend this by a few days so I can present my papers in person? The Judicial Service Commission, where we have 2 female representatives, stiletto representatives, wrote back and said, we will not be doing any extension of time. So she had to ask for table bangers to do what we do best and ensure that they receive those papers. And I thank the table bangers at the Observer for doing a great job. You can Google that article, it reads like a film. It reads like a film. How Justice Bosa went to the ICC. Really? This is how we reward our best talent? Pause and think about that. And I think many women don't know these stories. You're given the Narungas as the role models. Where were they when Justice Bosa needed them? I want to stop there. On the first question. For the second question, how many minutes survived? Oh, that's a lot. We have the Ssewankambo problem. That is the singular, granular representation of what threatens the rule of law, democracy, and good governance in this country. A charlatan, a rascal with a PC, a robe, and a Twitter account access the most important office for these values, known as the Office of Attorney. I wrote what pretends to be a Kabumba-like essay. Who has read it? Because I have money to give. Students, who has read it? Students, who knows what I'm talking about? It's a shame, it's a shame, it's a shame. It's a shame. Who knows it? Who is Googling it? Okay, let's open the chat. Digital transformation. Yes. Yes, stand up and shoot quickly. Title. Wrong. Title only. No, you're part of my team. Colleagues, you can't even cheat. All right, let me give it to. Okay. All right, colleagues. It's called A.G. Ssewankambo is the wrong man for the wrong job. That was my Solomonic address to the bar. Just a week after he had been appointed. I suffered massive persecution after that article. But we were in a pandemic, and a pandemic means you think of only mortal danger, the end of days, the end of nights, the end of life. I owed it to Ugandans to warn them that you think you've seen worse. My colleague shoot us to be nice. You had seen nothing. I covered all ages, and I said Ssewankambo would be the one. So I will stop there. Is that a warning? Oh, 3 minutes. 4 minutes. The story of my persecution was private to me and my family only. I took a great risk to come back to this country in July to do a case that I couldn't hand over to anybody else. And while there, in the Supreme Court, some colleagues in the media informed their sources that we have seen Isaac for sure. For sure. The Rasta is in court. It's in court, so they whispered in my ear that some senior lawyers who want to talk to you to apologize for not having taken you seriously when you warned them about this charlatan. Ssewankambo singularly threatens the independence of the judiciary. If you need Exhibit A, you have Farida Bukirwa. Ssewankambo singularly threatens independence of the legal profession. Now, these are doctrinal concepts for which time isn't available. But I have done my best to use the limelight of this moment to sue Ssewankambo personally for holding the office of Protectorate Attorney General instead of the Attorney General under Article 119, 1995 Constitution. That wisdom is only in this room. Outside that room, he has bootlickers, goodies, suckers, sissies, telling him he's the very best, and most of them are even gray-haired. So I want to stop here and say, I am standing for the President of Law Society to take a pulpit superior to his. Ssewankambo, that dog won't hurt. Ssewankambo. Attorney General, Chief Justice, DPP, back the table, back on track. I am standing to barrage your Ssewankambo.
School of Law. Okay, we now roll on to our next candidate, Mr. Kenneth. Can you please come and take your 10 minutes to answer the 2 questions? What do you perceive to be the most pressing rule of law issue in Uganda today? And if you elected president, what would you do to address this? And 2, which past president of Uganda Law Society do you admire most and why?
Goodies, caps. Stiletto lawyers. I do not agree with the characterization of people using those words, but I will defend to death my brother's right to use them. He is most certainly within his rights to do so. And if I ever became president, I would look forward to being called a goody-goody. Ladies and gentlemen, the most pressing rule of law issue in this country most pressing rule of law issue is there. It is there for you to see. You do not need to look. You do not need to look very far. The president of this country is elected by the people of Uganda. All members of parliament are elected by the people of Uganda. Whether the elections are free and fair, that's a different question. But sovereignty lies with the people. The judiciary, on the other hand, I am not sure how many of you can confidently say that you participated in the appointment of some of our judicial officers in this country, or any. That is the genesis of all our problems, in my view. As a result, you have a judiciary that must always bend to the dictates of the executive and sometimes parliament. Independence of the judiciary becomes a thing of textbooks. And that, my friends, is the problem. And this is compounded by the fact that we have a president who has been with us for some time. So with that kind of infrastructure and length of our president's tenure in office, you have a crisis of the rule of law. You had the Chief Justice not so long ago. He said the president is the final appellate court. Yes, he said it at Benedict Ssewankambo. But he's not just the final appellate court. He's also an intervention court. That if there is a matter which is proceeding and the president thinks there is a problem, he has the right to intervene He does not have the right in law, but he can intervene. That, my friends, is the problem. I believe in incremental change. I believe in progressive realization of the ideals of democracy. That sometimes our own culture inhibits the realization of those values that we stand for. But I think we must be deliberate. I think law society must have a key role to play. So, how are we going to ensure that the independence of the judiciary is secured? Our president is now 80 years. Our president is now 80 years. And we're already hearing of transition talks. Ladies and gentlemen, are we going to have another godfather after the current president? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the conversation we should have. How do we guard against another godfather? After Moi, things stabilized in Kenya. Nyerere was the last of his kind in Tanzania. My view is we should not have. How many of you have watched Godfather? Yeah? If you've watched Godfather, we should not have Al Pacino in part 2. Okay? So, what are some of the things that we need to do and we need to be at the forefront of? One, constitutional reforms. Uganda Law Society has no position paper on the state of the rule of law in this country. We don't have a paper. If right now Uganda Parliament is about to consider constitutional reforms, I believe, but if they asked the president of the Uganda Law Society what is the society's position, he would not tell you. I believe we need to have a position paper on the reforms that we need under our constitution. Restore term limits. Have public participation in the appointment of judges. Yeah. These are very key things which are central to our democracy. Now you hear they want to take away universal adult suffrage. Are we ready for that? Can we as Uganda Law Society have a position on that? We need to have a position on where we are in terms of constitutionalism and advocate for constitutional reforms that will not allow us, that will allow us not to have Al Pacino in Godfather Part. But also, we must always remain firm. We must remain vigilant. I've already given the example of the Law Society of Pakistan. How when the president there suspended the Chief Justice. And this was 2007. The Law Society took to the streets in protest. The Chief Justice was reinstated. He was reinstated. So we must remain firm. We must speak candidly when one of our own is threatened, when judicial independence is threatened. And we have done this before. We have so many examples to draw from. There is a time when we didn't have the substantive Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice. Law Society boycotted the annual rule of law day that year. And as a result, the Chief Justice and DCJ were appointed. We are now going to the CJ and DCJ are about to retire, I believe next year. How are we positioning ourselves for that conversation? Because the next CJ and DCJ are going to be critical for our constitutional progress. And we must be involved in that process as law society. Our voice must be heard. We must appoint people who are grounded in the rule of law, people who are grounded in justice, people who are grounded in respect for people's freedoms, people with the courage and resolve to decide on critical matters of the day. You saw what the Chief Justice of Kenya did when they arraigned anti-corruption protesters before. She said the courts are not going to be used as a conduit
by the executive. And as a result, all people who are being arraigned before the courts were granted non-cash bail. In Uganda here, what was the position? A certain anti-corruption protester turns up in court, the state attorney disappears. And the magistrate remands the guy. Ladies and gentlemen, your society is at a critical juncture. I need you to look around you. Things are changing, and they are changing very fast. We are at a critical moment, actually. It's such a good time to be alive. It's such a good time to be. It's a good time to be alive. We are at a critical juncture in our country's constitutional progress. Reforms are being introduced. I think this will be the first reform after 2005. So, how do we position ourselves for that conversation? And that's what my presidency is offering.
Thank you very much. The 10 minutes have run out.
The second question.
All those were to be answered. So thank you very much, Candidate Kenneth Kipalu. Yes. Candidate Kenneth Kipalu has emphasized the issue of judicial independence and the competence of the judicial players to restore this country to the rule of law that we desire as stipulated in the Constitution. And then Council Isaac Ssewankambo, yes, has emphasized that the problem, legal rebel, has emphasized that Uganda's problem solely lies in the Attorney General, and that is why our rule of law is going down the drain. So, okay. Now we've come to the moment where the two candidates pose questions to each other. Yes, thank you. Back on track. The questions are going to time to ask the question.
Bang the table, back on track. Bang the table, back on track. Mr. Chipal, have you argued a case before the Supreme Court of Uganda before? Have you filed a case in a court of first instance? As you did it, win or lose, go to the segment, called court of second instance, maybe court of appeal, up to the apex court. Have you walked our justice journey in its fullness? That is my question.
for that question. Have I argued any matter in a court of record? I'll begin with the Constitutional Court, since we are here on law, justice, and freedom. The Constitutional Court, I represented Honorable Justice Ssewankambo in Honorable Justice Ssewankambo versus Attorney General, where we were contesting certain provisions of the Administration of Judiciary Act. I have filed a class action on behalf of the Basongora community. That is Amos Bisimwa and others versus Attorney General. There are ranchers who are deprived of their land by this government. We filed a constitutional petition, and as a result, they have been adequately compensated. That's in the Constitutional Court. In the High Court, again, I'm going to restrict my matters to those that touch on law, justice, and freedom. Internet service providers had an increment in their license fees, and we filed a matter in the Civil Division, which was Internet Service Providers Association of Uganda versus Attorney General, so that the increment in the license fees was going to inhibit the progress in our digital rights schools. And so many others I may not mention. There are so many women I've represented. I do not take on a case that conflicts with my value system. If I see someone is going to perpetrate abuse and he wants to use me as a conduit, I do not take on the case. I'll give you an example. I was approached by a lady, and the lady wanted to deny the father of the children access for the next 2 years, saying that the father should only visit the children once a year. It's something which could be done, but I restrained myself from taking on that case because it violated my value system. So for all the cases I've handled, they must appeal to the inner morality that I was talking about. In the Supreme Court, I have only worked there as a research officer.
Order. Yes. She still has 5 minutes. Council Isaac Ssewankambo. Council Isaac. Council Isaac, Mr. Chikwalu still has 5 minutes to answer your question.
In the Supreme Court, there are works I contributed to that I am proud of to this day. And I'll mention too.
So Isaac, can we please get back to order, back on track to allow Mr. Kipalu to finish? Yes, back on track, and we allow Mr. Kipalu to finish.
In the Supreme Court, I made contributions to the case of Ntambala Fred versus Uganda. That case did away with the need for collaboration in sexual offenses. I also contributed to Uganda versus Uganda, which say that sentencing is necessarily arithmetic.
Those are the contributions I have made in Uganda's jurisprudence, some of which I can talk about.
Okay, you still have Okay, Council Kipalo is done with his question. It's now time for Council Kipalo to also ask Council Ssemakadde, the Honorable. Yes.
I'll tell you. It's not there, I'll tell you.
My question to Council Isaac Ssemakadde. You say the problem is the Attorney General. I take a different view.
I said the problem is Ssewankambo. It has a name. It has a name. It has a height. It has an origin.
And you say you want to bring about it.
Say the name. 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 Say the name.
Okay, our current Attorney General is Ssewankambo. Yes, so the question.
The question is,
Yes, can you back on order, please? Can we listen to the question?
how do you intend to advance the rule of law in this country without the collaboration of the Attorney General?
Very simple question. Those of us who have argued many cases, no answer. In the case of Kamhanda, Honorable Kamhanda Kafureka, Attorney General, and the Constitutional Court, my Lady Justice, Timatemwa, Eshikubiza, who you claim to have count you shit, you like nothing. You like nothing from her. She wrote, and I quote, democracy, rule of law, requires conflict. 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 Conflict, not collaboration. Conflict. Back on track.
Okay, back on track. We still have time. Back on track. Okay, can you please calm down? Can you please calm down? Back on track. Can you please calm down? We have 4-5 more minutes. Okay. Order in the house. Order in the house. Still back on track. Can you be back on track? We are now opening up. We are opening up to the plenary. The questions from each candidate is done, and they've all answered and utilized the time they needed to utilize. Now we open up to the plenary. Each candidate will have 25 minutes to answer questions from the plenary. I will start with Council Ssemakadde. Those who have questions for Council Ssemakadde. If you have questions for Council Ssemakadde, Please raise your hand and it will take him 25 minutes to respond. We shall take another round of questions. Auma, I need okay, one. Can we please come down, keep your question precise? You need that. Okay, can we have order here? Questions? I needed you to move the mic. Where is the mic? Okay, fine. You may not have to walk down. Please ask your question. Okay, please, order.
Thank you very much, the license for this debate. My name is Ssewankambo.
Can you please have order at the back so that we hear the questions?
My name is Ssewankambo, and for the record, I am the campaign manager for Mr. Kenneth. Mr. Isaac Ssewankambo, I have a question for you. As a member of the Uganda Law Society, whom you intend to represent for this year 2024-2026. Mr. Ssewankambo, you understand that the Uganda Law Society, in execution of its mandate, has to deal with a number of stakeholders, including the Office of the Attorney General, the Judiciary, the Executive, and the funders. How do you intend to deal with these stakeholders to ensure that you deliver and execute?
Okay, thank you. Another question. Yes, let us also recognize the presence of Council Philip Munag in the house. Please stand up for recognition.
My name is Philip Munavi. I used to sit right here. I'm happy to be back here, but I'm also contesting. I'm contesting for Secretary of Uganda Law Society. I'm the sponsoring parent in the first year class of the school. I have a lady I sponsor who is my staff. My question to Mr. Ssewankambo. My question, because your message seems to be in the ears and the minds of the people. I believe these are things you have said 10 years ago. How do you justify, or how do you want to convince the electorate that it is the right time to use the radicalism that you're proposing to achieve the benefits that we need as members of the Uganda Law Society, but also as the society vis-a-vis the state players?
Thank you. My name is Joseph Bill. Joseph Bill, Makerere, pending graduate. My question is to Council Ssewankambo, but candidate Kipalu can also answer it for that. Guys, listen. Currently, we are having around only 60 people from Makerere Law School who are going to graduate in January. The rest have been neglected by LDC. On top of that, we have about 1,400 students who have graduated and LDC has rejected them. When we called upon the Uganda Law Society to intervene, they neglected us. And yes, and on Monday, the students who managed to fundraise amongst themselves to get lawyers and go to court, the judge absented themselves. On a matter which is so urgent, LDC starting on Monday, the judge is telling us they are absent. And these students have no future, especially the ladies. Where are they going to go for 1 year? So my question is, what will your candidature, what will your presidency do about the future of the Law Society, which is being sabotaged?
on the table. Listening going. Legal Pericles, candidate Isaac Ssewankambo. My name is Akampura Walakina. I'm very Aris, yes, I'm very well known to you. I was drawn to your campaign because it is deeply rooted in jurisprudence. And specifically say one of the 4 pillars of your campaign is decolonization. One of the evils that continue to plague our legal system, violence, and Makerere law society inclusive. Today we have had some intellectual entertainment from you. We have had a lot from you, something which is the reality in this country. Just for the sake of continuity of that thought, can you please delve a little bit in detail as to what you perceive as the trappings of colonization of our law and the legal system? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. With very good demeanor and pause for our law students and graduates, so you have some time to.
All the questions seem to be mine. What's the time check for that?
Okay, let's listen. Okay, calm down, please.
Back on track. Bang the table. May I get the names? Listening. Yes. I beg your pardon. Joseph B. and Uganda. Ask the most important question of the day. $200,000 from my campaign fund to you. Mr. Sam Okotola, announce yourself as the new data to Mr. Joseph B. and Uganda. Mr. Joseph Bill Ainengawa, a thorn which is not removed continues to hurt. LDC, like Inaisa said, has been as dead as a donair since 22 years ago. It's just waiting for vigilance, a barrier by vigilantes. Barrier by, it is way past reformers. It needs to be. The message of a bullshit LDC is not for dimwits, dead wood and rotten tomatoes. It is for the winners of destiny. You. I therefore, with much regret, send my message of consolation to your colleagues who are stuck in this pipeline of broken dreams and dashed hopes that LDC represents. My sincere consolation. I was consulted by one of them, Charles Rwanga, Mugerwa or something. Mr. Mugerwa, you here? Yes, come. Learn to fight for your rights. Why do you step back when I just said it's the most important question? Mr. Mugerwa, play team number 1. Africa number 1. Now, Mr. Mugerwa, Mr. Charles Rwanga brought my message. What did he say? Your stand is abolish LDC. Mr. Mugerwa wasn't listening. I told them don't go to court. Go to the president. He has all their answers. Guys, Mr. Mwebaze, wake up. Read the room. Smell the coffee. The courts are late. The judiciary is in crisis. Say it.
Judiciary is dead. And on that very point, on Monday was supposed to be hard. On Monday, this very Monday, we reached court. The justice was in his chambers, but he couldn't listen to us. He couldn't listen to us. So how can that be a functioning judiciary? We were there on time. So the judiciary is dead. Back the table. Back on track. The judiciary is dead. The dog went hard.
All hope is not lost. You need to organize, not under Article 28 or 126 of the Constitution anymore. You need to remember power to the people. Article 1, Article 3, and Article Aloiki. Which one is that article? What is the Aloiki article? Guys, Makerere, is this Makerere? Is this Makerere? Dr. Kamundo, what has happened? Is this Makerere? What is the Aloiki article? What is the Aloiki article? What is the Aloiki article? You are not angry. You don't know how to protest. So you can't manufacture a protest solution. That place will change in a minute. In a minute. If you attempt it. Where is my personal assistant? The gallant Makerere, the tiger, a Victor Oye, a Mr. Kenya Oye. This little man is the only great seer amongst you. When we began writing about abolish LBC on the internet, he found all sissies, beans,
And rotten tomatoes.
goodies. He fought them off. He fought them off. But he fought them off with style, diction, and great wit. And I told him, DM, you belong to a cabinet.
You know, it's ironic that 2 years ago, when we came up with the entire concept of abolishing LDC, and I put the message in our class group, people ask me questions like, "Human, are you normal? Are you normal? What are you thinking? How do you abolish LDC?" That's how advocates are made. But then 2 years now, and they're in court, and they're crying. The judges can't listen to our case. Go to the president.
So, Victor and I, Yasin, has Yasin left? Yasin is part of our Violence Academy. Part of our agenda is to abolish LDC, abolish law council, okay? Abolish everything. Chase destiny. Chase what? These are laws of the colonial relics. These are colonial hangovers. They are not for you. They worked for us. They will not work for you. Victor understood the message. He was first year there.
Council Ssewankambo, 4 minutes left of your 10 minutes time. Answer that clause.
Of the first time or the second time?
The first time, I'll give it 10.
So give me
There will be another round of your question. I'm just reminding you.
All right. So, Mr. Kenneth understood. We sent him to spread the word. He brought back a report that they are not yet. They are not yet ready. So, what did we do? Waited until they were pigs for slaughter. Pigs for slaughter. There was. I have told my colleagues at the bar that LBC is an abattoir. Okay? It's a relic of an education institution. It is characterized by sexual harassment and suicide inducement, the center can't hold. There is so much. There is an entire PhD thesis, and the irony is the author of the PhD thesis sits atop the GTZ that you call LDC. So there you go, guys. Do you want answers from Ssewankambo? He gave you one brilliantly. What? He was all over this and all over the map, and none of you said that dog got hands. Except Aloikin, maybe. But she's confused by foreign interference. That is the only problem I have with Aloikin. Aloikin, she lacks political awareness. But I sent my message to her, Jay, that when she's ready for political class, I'll be magnanimous in receiving apology. So, the other questions, Harris, Mr. Munabi, and Mr. Sewaya, I can combine all of you in one. First of all, Mr. Haruna, Mr. Munabi gave you the answer. There has been a whole record of 10 years of stakeholder collaboration, and what has it brought? Chitesi Atel and Chitesi Chitesi. What caused that, you think? You think it was rebels? Rebels caused it. Did rebels cause Chitesi? Did rebels cause LBC, menace, and abattoir? No. Rebels are going to provide a solution. The solution. We only have answers. Mr. Harris, we have to take a generation. Come with me. We fought battle. We tell people battle. Tell people battle. Tell them.
Battle. I first interacted with Legal Rainbow in my first year during the new presidential elections when the university administration had with immunity eliminated one of the candidates because they had perceived him as a rebel, as a tiger. That candidate was Bala David. We went to Council Isaac Semakadi, and they did at around midnight, and the race was remaining with only about 4 days. Council Semakadi was able to get an injunction. And that's how the tiger in the name of Bala David Buyuka was able to emanate. And the story. No, the right honorable speaker. Yes, so the people's people yeah, but in the government. Yes, but on a serious note, this gentleman is the man that works for the people. His campaign is rooted deeply in the jurisprudential questions of the day. I hope there are many fourth years here who are studying jurisprudence. We want a legal system that do work for Ugandans. 95% of the cases today are not heard in court because court is for a small class of people who afford court. And the opponents, as I perceive them, are those who are careerists who are only interested in the status quo, maintaining business as usual. But we need our mothers. We need our mothers, like the mother that you have seen sent to. We need our sisters. Everyone can, and your mother. Everyone. What Ssewankambo is promising is that everyone should afford the law. Justice should be accessible for everyone. It should not be a privilege for just a few, but a right for everyone that is accessible for everyone. And the legal system as it is, the legal system as it is, it cannot deliver on that promise. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
So we have the answers, but I think you wanted to trick me.
Okay. Okay, so Council Ssewankambo, you can take a break for now. We have another round of questions. Okay. Now we have another round of questions. Back on track. I think forgotten the name, but those characters up there. Now, congratulations for Council Chipalu. Yes, and let us also recognize the presence of Council Muchibi here, who heads research at Law Development Center. And I think he has had with his own ears that Law Development Center is an abattoir. So you take that message home.
Well, good afternoon to you all. My name is Okufil Godon, LLB3. Okufil Godon, LLB3, Okufil Godon. Yeah, so for me, I have a good son, and this issue has been neglected, yet to me, it seems to have been one of those fundamental questions that should have been answered this year and last year. The aspect where the legislature actually directed that the paper be investigated, and that also he directed the vice chancellor to do so, and actually a committee was constituted to that effect. So you see an infringement to me, in my view, on the right to freedom of education. Yes, this to me, Makerere, is the longest spinal cord over academia. So I would want to get your comment on in such an instance. What would you, as president of the Law Society, protect to uphold the right to freedom of expression, specifically academic freedom? Thank you.
Thank you so much. The question I have for the question is, from what the gentleman has told us, is of the problems you are facing, ignorance of the rule of law, injustices. It hinges on the regime, specifically I think President Museveni, if I can refer. So my question is, as a US president, would you outrightly advocate for a change to solve the problem?
So I'm not a lawyer actually, next time I go, but I'm just going to ask you a simple question based on your opinion. You mentioned that you, in your opening statement, you say that no one is above the law, not the police, not the Attorney General, and not the Director of Public Prosecutions. And you also stated that you acknowledge the right of freedom, the rights and freedoms of all Ugandans. And you also acknowledged the legal team that represented the protesters who protested for the March to Parliament protest. So my question to you is, what was your role? What role did you do as an advocate to safeguard their human rights? Because they protested and were arrested and their human rights were violated. So what role did you play? And if you are elected as the ULS president, do you have a concrete plan in place to ensure that the freedoms of expressions for all Ugandans in the future of protest are protected?
Final question. My question goes to Mr. Kipal. Till the date of our LDC admission, I'd never known that you sit on the Committee of Legal Education. Is it? In that time you've been on the Committee of Legal Education, you as a person, what have you advocated for reform in the legal education of
with the first round of questions, right? We will have a second round of questions. So you will be the next one. On the next one.
Thank you.
No, you have no audience. You will be the next one on the next round. You can hold on to the microphone. You have 10 minutes. Back on track, please. Let's allow Mr. Kpalu to respond to those questions.
Joseph Uganda. I'm very sorry to hear about your experience. It's very sad and unfortunate. The question of Law Development Center. The question of Law Development Center is very critical to us as a law society. What I'll tell you is that we have a stakeholders engagement, and that stakeholders engagement is meant to decide on the future of legal education. If you look at two proposals, I have two proposals for the Law Development Center. First of all, you must recall that the Law Development Center was designed to be an uptake institution catering for one university. Right now, we have 14 universities in place. Clearly, 14 universities can't be feeding into the same one institution which was designed for one university. And I sit on the Committee of Legal Education and Training, and I can tell you that by this time next year, we are going to have about 18 universities teaching law. So what is the solution that I'm offering? Two things. The first, liberalize the teaching of the bar course. Let LDC become an examination center and open up. In the alternative, let's embrace technology and let LDC become a completely online program. Then we can agree on how exams can be conducted. Those are the two proposals that I believe we need to look into for the future of our legal education. I have been sitting on CLET, you're very right, and as a committee, we were supposed to have a stakeholders engagement before this year ends. But there were financial constraints that are beyond my powers as a representative that couldn't enable that stakeholders engagement to come to fore. But with the questions that arose this year, it is of utmost priority to the Attorney General, and he's very vested in this issue, I can assure you. And we are going to have a stakeholders engagement to find a lasting solution to this problem. I am also aware that all those students that were not admitted to LDC are going to be admitted by January. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm very sure. The second, also, I am very sorry to hear of I am very sorry to hear of judicial absenteeism that you complained of. That is a very serious issue and it's critical to the rule of law. But I'm sure you know that judicial independence does not take away judicial accountability. The senior, Mr. James Mukasa Ssewankambo is a senior counsel. He's a former president of the Law Society. We started a project called Bell the Cat. So, I believe we need to revamp Bell the Cat such that we can hear these complaints and see how to take them. The next question that was asked was, the question that was asked to me is, would I advocate for regime change? I'm going to advocate for constitutional reform. Constitutional reform. Uganda Law Society is not a political party. We are not anti-government. We are anti-bad practices of government. So regime change is not on my agenda, but constitutional reform is top of my agenda. About
can we give you time to finish and take order, please?
Would I advocate for the respect of people's freedoms and human rights? Absolutely. Absolutely. We are going into very heightened rule of law moments. The election is coming, and most certainly, if there is ever human rights violations in this country, it is always during that time of elections. So some of the things we are going to do is have a rapid response team. And that rapid response team will be responding to any issues of concern or human rights violations that are reported to us.
Maybe the lady also wanted to know what you did during the protest. Yes. Just remind you that during the protest.
I am a member of Uganda Law Society. And the actions of the president in representing members, in representing anti-corruption protesters, I believe represented the voice of the membership. Therefore, I believe through the president, as a member of Uganda Law Society, we were there for the anti-corruption protesters.
Okay. Thank you, Council Kenneth, for those submissions. We'll now take just 2 more rounds of questions for each of the candidates.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tim. My question goes to Council Isaac Ssewankambo. I am Chief of Stanley LBD and the political activist at the National Unity Platform. We are having colleagues who were arrested before, during, and after the elections of 2021. And 4 years down the road, our colleagues are still incarcerated with no justice rendered to them. As we all know, that justice delayed is justice denied. My question therefore is, how do you intend to help these colleagues so that they can be bailed out? And lastly, we are here at Makerere University. All the freedoms are curtailed by the Vice Chancellor. We are having a Vice Chancellor who is headhunting students. Professor Nawambo, who is headhunting students, is having spies that when he hears that 3 or 4 students sat in a meeting and discussed some issues, the next thing you will hear are suspension letters and warning letters. How do you intend to help these students with some credit? They no longer have the freedom of expression after hearing.
Thank you. I appreciate both the speakers. My name is Karatunga Kaseja. My question is to Council Ssewankambo. You say LDC is an abattoir, and we are meant to believe that. But what is going to be the solution after LDC is abolished? My other question will go to Council Chiparu, who says that people are going to be admitted to LDC by January. You said yourself that LDC was made to cater for only a single university. But now, by January, how is it going to be feasible for these other remaining 1,000 lawyers that are waiting to practice to be admitted into LDC? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moderator. My apologies. Thank you so much, moderator. I think my question is supposed to be addressed to Council Ssewankambo, so I don't know whether I can still put up my question or it's out. Yes, thank you so much for the permission. So the current AQ was appointed in 2021. However, we've had rule of law issues dating way back. Council Ssewankambo's point here when he told us that the most pressing issue right now is the current AQ. So my question is, for the issues that we had way back, and what if the AG still is reappointed, or Council Ssewankambo is going to be serving when AG is in power, and we're going to have rule of law observed because the AG is Ssewankambo.
And then finally, Council Ssewankambo is back on track has only a few ladies. He will explain why. So we will allow the lady ask a question.
So my question is going to specifically Council Isaac. Yeah. So as women in law who are studying and even those in the field, there are lots of allegations, and I repeat, allegations. Sexual harassment allegations. She's protected
don't respect ladies. No. Calm down. This is your question. It's your question. Order. It's not only in law corporatization, they are not only in law firms, but also in institutions where we are studying from, and then institutions of LDC like that. So, how are you, as the president of the Uganda Law Society? Order. How are you going to respect that? How are you going to put it, not only even precautions, but how are you going to make the legal practice, the legal training safe for all of us? Because this is a road that has been happening for years in institutions.
Okay, thank you very much. And I believe the back on track account might also have something for her in that kappa. Okay? Only lady was there to ask Council Ssemakade a question.
Excuse me. And to add on that, how, as a leader, how are you going to advocate for the chairs for that she has said, but also No, advocate against it. And also added to, if your own supporters, if I may say, cannot let this question be put out, how do you expect to lead them in the right direction? And added to that, allegations. How do you answer to allegations that have been made against you on Twitter platforms that you are a sexual harasser you yourself? Thank you. Allegations that I may add.
Thank you. No, it is important.
Sit back on track, please calm down. Let's go. Let Council Ssemakade answer the questions. Yes.
I don't know the ladies' names, but I think they should join us here. If you want answers to Ssemakade, you have to stand close to him. Yeah. If you can't,
it must be consensual.
no. Then I won't answer. Young ladies, you have seen the worst example of stiletto. These are baby stilettos. These are baby what? These are baby stilettos. These are baby goodies. These are baby sissies. These are baby suck-ups. This is very, very important. Baby stiletto, see that dog won't hands. Baby stiletto, that dog won't. A baby stiletto, a allegation this, a allegation that dog won't hand. You said that dog won't hand. A allegation this, a allegation that. Weaponizing sexual harassment is how you erase yourself out of the bar. it will come as a shock to you that there are women who run organizations that get more funding for putting these ideas in your head. And some of you work in those organizations and you come to pollute other young women. When we formed a cabinet to abolish LDC, our motivation had been to respond to complaints of sexual, which had been channeled through the account of who?
The ladies.
Called who?
The stilettos.
Agatha Atuhi. She over-tweeted about sexual harassment at LDC. Mr. Victor Akena, witness number 1, come here and speak the truth. Give testimony. Give testimony. Give testimony. Pictures online.
When you
Okay,
I want
Council
to finish
Semakade,
this.
5 minutes. Yes, but 5 minutes.
When you talk about abolishing LDC, we had our cabinet. We made our cabinet that had to spearhead. We had to spearhead abolishing LDC. We had Agatha Tuhaire. She was on our cabinet. Actually, I don't know why people call us misogynists, and yet we had a lady amidst us. We invited her, special invite to give power to our drive to abolish LDC. Exactly. Our push. Yes. 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 Yes.
What did you tell Agatha?
We told Agatha.
We agree with her.
We agreed to work together to abolish LDC, and we had a variety of. We told Agatha. We agreed with Agatha that the problem at LDC is not concluded zero down only to sexual harassment. You don't stop diarrhea by blocking the anus.
Let me tell you what he has forgotten, because me, I remember the minutes. We told Agatha, you end the conversation when you pollute community attitudes with words like sexual. You harden community attitudes against empowerment of women. They become untouchable. We seize them, we can put them in a box and leave them there. And then we move on and we leave them behind. There must be no reason to fear inviting Patricia to work together in battle. Yes. Is this sexual harassment? No! Is this sexual harassment? No! These goodies, foreign agents, are dangerous. We now know they receive money. We now know they receive money